My dad looked me in the eye and said, "You exist to pay his dreams." Then he pointed at the door and told me to leave. It was my little brother's 28th birthday, and 40 guests were still outside cheering for him. By the next morning, I had 26 missed calls and a GoFundMe calling me financially abusive. I pulled into my parents' driveway in Scottsdale with my wife, Sarah, and saw a full-blown party setup. 3 days earlier, I'd wired my dad $3,400 for an urgent property tax situation. I texted him, "Party looks expensive. Was the tax real?" No response. My brother met us with a champagne flute and a grin. He joked about my six-figure corporate job, then asked if I brought an $1,800 camera lens he wanted for a shoot. He still lived in my parents' basement. My mom didn't hug me either. She just said, "The gravy's acting up. You're good at fixing things," like I'd clocked in. Out back, I saw the invoice by the bar. Photography services, $650, paid with a card ending in digits I recognized. I was an authorized user because I'd been quietly covering their bills for years. My dad was laughing with relatives, arm around my brother's shoulders, soaking up praise. When someone asked about me, Dad said, "Flat, he does the computer thing." At dinner, Sarah and I were placed at the far end of the table. My brother sat center with my parents on either side. Dad tapped his glass and gave a speech about the artist path and how it required sacrifice from everyone who believes. My uncle finally yelled, "What about Marcus?" Dad's smile tightened. "Marcus, come say a few words about your brother." I stood, said, "Happy birthday," and tried to sit down. Dad grabbed my shoulder and told the crowd, "This is our practical son. He keeps the lights on." People laughed like it was cute. I said, "Can we talk inside?" He waved me off, so I said, "Like the property tax I paid Tuesday, or the mortgage I've been covering since 2021. Dad yanked my arm into the kitchen and slammed the door. He hissed, "How dare you embarrass me?" And I said, "You just told 40 people my job is funding him." He leaned in, scotch on his breath. "You're logical. You just execute. Chase is sensitive. He needs backing." I said, "On my money?" Dad didn't blink. "Your job is to work. His job is to create." Then he said it, slow and clear. "You exist to pay his dreams." I asked, "And if I don't?" Dad pointed down the hall. "Then there's the door." So I pulled out my phone. After that, I tapped, canceled the $1,500 mortgage transfer. Next, I tapped, canceled the $380 Jeep payment, removed myself from their joint checking, and killed his phone line. Then I showed Dad the screen. Confirmation. And I walked out. The next morning, Dad texted, "Mortgage due deck first. We don't have it." My brother texted, "My phone's dead. Fix it." I opened the Excel file I'd kept since 2019 and exported every emergency to a PDF. They blew up a 5-2-person family group chat with prayers and guilt. I took screenshots and stayed quiet. Sunday afternoon, my brother posted a GoFundMe, asking strangers for $50,000. It claimed they supported my education, and I cut them off with no warning. I commented under my real name. I paid my own college with $67,000 in loans, repaid by 2018. I'd given them $18,447 over 5 years, plus a $100,000 gallery bailout. And Dad told me, quote, "You exist to pay his dreams." 10 minutes later, the GoFundMe vanished. A couple weeks later, Experian pinged me. A new credit inquiry, Chase Sapphire, submitted at 2:37 p.m. from Scottsdale, with my exact salary listed. I filed an identity theft report for a case number and emailed my dad the PDF. One more account in my name and I'd press charges. He left a voicemail crying, begging for just $100 for groceries. I cried too. I still didn't send it. My Aunt Valerie later showed me the paperwork they'd been hiding. IRS audit, $52,000 owed, a lien, a foreclosure notice. She said, "You kept them afloat. This isn't on you." 6 months later, Sarah and I signed for a house in Tempe. I put $89,000 down from money I could finally save. Not long after, I ran into my parents in a Safeway aisle in Scottsdale, 15 feet away, comparing store brand soup and flipping through coupons. Dad looked up, saw me, and gave the smallest nod. I nodded back. He turned to the shelf again. I still get sad sometimes, but I'm done being their system. The only honest thing my dad ever gave me was that sentence. "You exist to pay his dreams." I believed him, and I left.